Have you ever found yourself lying awake at 3 a.m., staring into the mirror and asking, "Who have I become? When did I start neglecting myself?" That moment can be terrifying, not because you're weak, but because deep down, you know, something has shifted. You used to care for yourself. You used to feel alive, full of energy, full of freshness. But then life, work, responsibilities pulled you away, and suddenly self-care turned into this distant luxury. Expensive spas, long retreats, or lavish treatments you never have the time for. The truth, that's a misunderstanding. Self-care isn't a privilege for the few. It doesn't require you to escape your life or abandon everything. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, carrying the weight of an empire while battling illness and loss, reminded himself, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." Epictetus and Seneca knew it too. They weren't reclining in marble baths. They were exiled, pressured, tested by life itself, and in those conditions, they built micro-habits, small, simple, repeatable practices powerful enough to transform the mind. And here's the beautiful part. These habits don't add more weight to your life. They do the opposite. They help you cut through the clutter, release what drains you, and rediscover calm in the middle of your busy reality. Stoic self-care isn't about adding another checklist. It's about subtraction, about designing your inner world with clarity. In the next few minutes, I'll share 5 small daily habits. Each takes less than 5 minutes. Costs nothing. Requires no complicated preparation, but if you practice them consistently, they will reshape you until you become stronger, calmer, and almost unrecognizable to the old version of yourself. But before we dive into each habit, I want you to pause for just a second and do something small but powerful. If you feel you need these habits, if you want more strength and peace from Stoic wisdom in your everyday life, hit that subscribe button right now, because every week, I'll share with you timeless lessons from Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. Not just theory, but practical habits you can apply immediately in your work, in your relationships, and in the smallest daily decisions. Don't let your life slip away in noise and exhaustion. Join me here, and let's create a space where we rebuild ourselves day by day into stronger, calmer, and more admirable versions of who we truly are. Habit 1. Morning mind sweep. Think about the very first thing you do when you open your eyes in the morning. For most people, it's the same. They reach for their phone. Within seconds, their mind is flooded with notifications, emails, breaking news, endless scrolling. Before their feet even touch the ground, they've already lost control of their inner world. But the Stoics taught something radically different. Your strength lies not in controlling the outside world, but in mastering your inner dialogue. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "Never meant for anyone to read. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That line is as urgent today as it was 2,000 years ago. The reality is, your thoughts don't wake up clean. During sleep, your brain is busy sorting through old stress, playing out future fears, even replaying bizarre dreams. The moment your eyes open, the noise begins. What's for breakfast? Did I send that text? Why did I say that thing last week? What if today's meeting goes badly? One thought triggers another, and suddenly you're drowning in mental static. Here's where most people go wrong. They try to escape the noise by diving straight into distraction. They scroll social media, check messages, or open the news. But this doesn't quiet the mind. It only adds to the clutter. It's like throwing more junk into an already messy room. The Stoic alternative is small, simple, and powerful. It's called the morning mind sweep, and it takes just 2 minutes. Here's how it works. When you wake up, before you touch your phone, before you brush your teeth, before you do anything, sit on the edge of your bed, set a timer for 2 minutes, close your eyes, or simply gaze softly at the floor, and then just observe. Picture your thoughts as clouds drifting across the sky of your mind. Don't chase them, don't fight them, don't analyze them, just notice. You might catch a flicker of nervousness about the day's meeting. You might feel a thread of anticipation about dinner later. Maybe a random song is stuck in your head, or a worry about your sister pops up. That's fine. Each one is just a passing cloud. The Stoics had a word for this. Prosos, sustained attention to the present moment and to what lies within your control. Epictetus reminded his students, we are disturbed not by things, but by the view which we take of them. This practice helps you see that distinction. Thoughts are not truths. They are events happening in the mind, and you get to decide what meaning to attach to them. Notice, this isn't meditation in the traditional sense. You're not aiming for bliss, silence, or emptiness. You're simply taking stock like a shopkeeper, checking inventory before opening the doors. It's quick, it's doable, even if you've never meditated a day in your life. Most self-care routines fail because they demand you to be someone you're not. Wake up at 5 a.m., run 10 miles, drink green juice, and if you miss a day, you feel like a failure. But this practice works because it meets you exactly where you are. Tired, do it tired. Overwhelmed, do it overwhelmed. Angry, welcome that too. The value isn't in changing what you feel, it's in meeting those feelings differently, and something powerful happens within a week. Patterns start to appear. You realize, I always wake up anxious on Mondays, or this tightness in my chest shows up when I haven't called my dad, or this low sadness creeps in when a project ends. You don't have to fix any of these in those 2 minutes. You're just collecting data. And awareness is the beginning of change. By the second week, you'll notice another shift. When tension hits later in the day, a tiny pause opens up. Instead of instantly reacting, you remember, this is just a thought cloud. I don't have to obey it. You stop being dragged around by every worry. You begin choosing your response. The effects ripple into every part of your life. Conversations improve, because you're not carrying hidden static into every interaction. Focus deepens, because your mind starts clear instead of cluttered. Self-kindness grows, because you've been practicing non-judgment toward your own mind. And the best part, you can use this habit anywhere. Waiting in line, 2-minute mind sweep. About to step into a tough conversation, mind sweep. Feeling overwhelmed at work, mind sweep. It becomes a portable reset button for your mind. This is what Seneca meant by the discipline of desire, wanting what you already have, being with what is, while still striving for what could be. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about standing firm inside your reality, however messy it is. When you stop running from your inner experience, it stops controlling you. Do this daily for a month, and you won't just feel calmer, you'll become fundamentally different. You'll walk through your day with presence instead of chaos. You'll trust yourself to handle whatever arises. And that quiet confidence will not only change how you feel, it will change how others experience you. So, right now, speak this truth aloud. Or type it in the comments below. I greet my thoughts with curiosity, not fear. This is the beginning of your transformation. Habit 2. Gratitude Archaeology. Think about the last time someone told you to practice gratitude. Chances are, you wrote down something like, I'm grateful for my family, my health, my home. And while those things matter deeply, let's be honest, after a few repetitions, your brain checks out. Gratitude becomes a hollow exercise. It's like answering I'm fine when someone asks how you're doing. Technically true, but empty of depth. The Stoics knew that true transformation doesn't come from piling on more, but from digging deeper. Seneca once observed that every new beginning comes from something ending, and every ending holds hidden value. In other words, change doesn't require more blessings. It requires uncovering the worth of what's already there. That's the heart of the second micro-habit. Gratitude Archaeology. Instead of skating on the surface, we become investigators of the overlooked. We dig for the subtle wins, the fleeting moments of grace that usually slip past unnoticed. Here's how it works. At some point during your day, no rules, no set schedule, you pause and ask, what's one tiny moment today that went right? The catch: it can't be big or obvious. You're not hunting for paychecks, promotions, or perfect sunsets. You're searching for the quiet gems hiding beneath routine. Maybe it's the way your coffee tasted just right this morning without you adjusting anything. Maybe it's catching the elevator without waiting. Maybe it's remembering to water your plants, or finding your keys on the very first try. Small, ordinary, easy to miss. Why does this matter? Because our brains are conditioned to scan for danger, problems, and faults. It's a survival mechanism, good for avoiding predators, terrible for building peace. The Stoics trained themselves to see reality unfiltered, to notice not only what was threatening but also what was already good. Gratitude Archaeology is how you rewire that survival bias. And here's where it deepens. Once you find your overlooked moment, don't stop at, I'm grateful. Ask yourself, why did this stand out? Who else made this moment possible? Take that perfect coffee, for example, somewhere. A farmer tended those beans, likely on the other side of the world. Someone harvested them, shipped them, roasted them. A worker stocked them on a shelf. A barista pressed the right button. Even the person ahead of you kept the line moving so you could take your first sip on time. Your tongue registered the flavor. Your nerves carried the signal. Your brain translated it into pleasure. Suddenly, that one sip is no longer just caffeine. It's a tapestry of lives and effort woven together into your moment of comfort. This shift does something profound to your mind. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new pathways. Each time you spotlight a hidden blessing, you strengthen the circuits for joy, presence, and appreciation. Within 2 weeks, something magical happens. You stop needing to dig. The moments start leaping out at you. A cool breeze across your skin, the unexpected smile from a cashier, someone holding the door a second longer. Your mind becomes tuned to goodness in real time. And that awareness doesn't just stay inside you, it spills outward. Once you're used to spotting subtle kindness, you naturally start offering it. You hold the door. You smile more. You're patient in traffic, not because a list told you to, but because your eyes are trained to see value everywhere. This is Stoic gratitude. It's not fragile optimism that collapses when life gets tough. It's robust, It's grounded. It's not about pretending pain doesn't exist. It's about forging such a solid sense of abundance that even hardship can't shake it. When you genuinely believe, not just intellectually, but viscerally, that life is full of hidden blessings, you become steady. And steadiness is magnetic. People feel it. They're drawn to it. By the end of a month practicing gratitude archaeology, your story about the world changes. You stop living as if life is something to endure and start living as if life is something to notice. And your outlook, what you choose to focus on, shapes your reality far more than your circumstances ever could. So here's your action today. At some point, pause. Find one small, overlooked win. Study it, let it expand, and then anchor it with this affirmation. I am a treasure hunter in my own life. Say it out loud. Type it in the comments. Declare it, because once you train your eyes to catch the sacred in the simple, you'll realize your world was never empty. It was always full. You just hadn't been digging in the right places. Habit 3. The energy audit moment. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked your phone's battery usage? If your phone keeps dying too quickly, you don't just complain, you open the settings. See which apps are draining power in the background and shut them down. You optimize. You protect what matters most. The ability to stay connected. Now imagine your life force your mental, emotional, physical energy is just like that battery. The question is, when was the last time you ran a check on it? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "We love ourselves more than other people, but we care more about their opinion than our own." In other words, we waste enormous energy pouring ourselves into things that drain us. Instead of guarding the essence that sustains us, the Stoics saw time and vitality as sacred resources. Epictetus even said that true wealth comes not from adding more, but from needing less, and the same applies to energy. It's not about endless stamina. It's about managing the power you already have. That's why the third micro-habit is so transformative. I call it the energy audit moment, and it's astonishingly simple. Once a day, pause just for a few seconds and ask, am I being charged right now? Or am I being drained? Don't overthink. Don't justify. Just notice. Tune into your body. Are your shoulders tight? Is your breathing shallow? Jaw clenched? Or relaxed? Chest open? Or heavy? These signals aren't random. They're your body's way of broadcasting whether the situation is fueling you or bleeding you dry. Here's the key. Once you see it, you act on it. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right then. If you notice your energy is draining while doom scrolling, close the app. If you're stuck in a looping, unproductive conversation, kindly change the topic or step away. If tension lingers from an earlier argument, take 3 deep breaths and release it. This isn't about running from every challenge or avoiding all discomfort. Some discomfort is essential. It means you're stretching, growing, doing meaningful work. That kind of tiredness is nourishing, but other kinds, they're hollow. They leave you feeling depleted, resentful, fragmented. The energy audit teaches you to tell the difference between good exhaustion and bad exhaustion, productive struggle and pointless self-betrayal. Over time, something incredible happens. You develop what I call energy intuition. You start to feel shifts before they overwhelm you. You catch yourself about to say yes to something that would drain you, and instead, you pause. You notice which people leave you lighter and which leave you heavier, and you begin shaping your schedule around the ones who restore you. Think about a skilled farmer. He doesn't plant crops in soil that depletes them. He knows which fields nourish, which fields stunt growth. You're the same. Protecting your energy is protecting your essence. And here's the truth. People who guard their energy stand out, not because they're always cheerful or endlessly upbeat, but because they're present, whole. They show up fully, not fractured, not hollow. They can give generously because they haven't bled themselves dry in 1,000 small leaks. This one tiny habit, pausing once a day to ask if you're being charged or drained, becomes an invisible shield, not a hard wall of defense, but a wise filter. You're no longer tossed around by every demand, every distraction, every draining voice. You start living from a place of intentional vitality, and that changes everything. Your relationships shift because you no longer settle for dynamics that deplete you. Your decisions improve because they come from clarity, not fatigue. Your inner world grows lighter because you're no longer leaking energy into things that give nothing back. So today, here's your practice. Set a reminder or tie it to a daily action: opening the fridge, finishing a call, washing your hands. Stop, ask, charged or drained, and then honor your answer. Anchor it with this affirmation: I protect my energy like the precious resource it is. Say it, write it, believe it, because when you learn to guard your energy, you stop living in survival mode and you start living with power, presence, and purpose. Habit 4. The compassion reset breath. Have you ever paid attention to the way you talk to yourself? Not out loud, but in your mind. When you make a mistake, when you're behind, when you fall short. If you listened closely, you'd probably be shocked at how harsh that voice can be. We say things to ourselves we'd never say to a friend, or even to a stranger. Spill your coffee. I'm so clumsy. Forget a name. I'm socially inept. Feel anxious. What's wrong with me? Most of us walk through life carrying an inner drill sergeant, stern, sharp, merciless. And the tragedy is, we think this is what keeps us disciplined, but in reality, it keeps us small, because no one thrives under constant attack. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus taught, it is not things that disturb us, but our judgment of them. The pain of life hits twice: once from the event itself, and again from the judgment we hurl at ourselves afterward. Psychologists call this the second arrow, the self-inflicted wound. The accident isn't what breaks us, it's the shame we attach to it. That's why the 4th micro-habit is so important. I call it the compassion reset breath. And it's as simple as it sounds. Here's how it works. The moment you catch that inner critic in attack mode, and trust me, it will show up often, you pause. Take one slow, intentional breath, and as you inhale, silently remind yourself, I am doing the best I can with what I know right now. That's it. One breath, one phrase, but the ripple effect is immense, because in that instant, you interrupt the soundtrack of self-criticism. You cut the second arrow before it lands. You shift from judgment to truth. You're acting from your current level of awareness, skill, and capacity. That's not resignation. It's honesty. And honesty is the starting point for growth. Think back to when you first learned to walk. You stumbled hundreds of times. Did you scold yourself for being weak? Of course not. There was no judgment. No inner critic, just practice, trial, and eventual mastery. That same spirit of non-judgment is what the compassion reset breath brings back into your life. And this isn't just philosophy, it's biology. That one breath activates your parasympathetic nervous system, pulling your body out of stress mode. The soft self-talk releases oxytocin, the hormone of connection and trust. You are literally reprogramming your brain to default to care instead of critique. Do this for 2 weeks. And you'll notice something remarkable. That harsh inner voice. It softens. It pauses before it pounces. It grows curious before it condemns. Instead of, "I'm so stupid," you'll hear, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "I blew it again," you'll ask, "How can I improve next time?" And when you stop attacking yourself, something else shifts. You stop projecting judgment onto others. Suddenly, you're more patient in conversations. You listen without criticism. People feel safer around you because they sense something rare. Acceptance, not perfection, but presence. This habit doesn't just transform your inner world, it transforms your outer world. Relationships deepen, creativity flourishes, innovation expands. Why? Because when failure isn't tied to shame, you can try, explore, risk, and recover without fear. You become resilient because mistakes no longer define you. The beauty of the Compassion Reset breath is that you don't need a timer or an app. Your inner critic becomes the cue. Every harsh thought is no longer a weapon. It's a signal, a reminder to pause, breathe, and reset. The very thing that once drained you becomes the trigger that heals you. And over time, you become someone new, not flawless, not untouchable, but someone who has made peace with imperfection, someone who carries quiet strength, not because they have all the answers, but because they've stopped punishing themselves for not having them. And in that stillness, others find comfort. They don't admire you because you're perfect. They trust you because you're human. So here's your practice. The next time you hear that critical voice, don't fight it. Pause. Take one deep breath and whisper to yourself, "I speak to myself with the kindness I deserve." Say it out loud. Write it in the comments. Let the world know you're done with the second arrow. You're choosing compassion not as a luxury, but as a discipline, because the truth is, strength doesn't come from being hard on yourself. Real strength comes from being gentle enough to grow. Habit 5, the Daily Done Declaration. Let's be honest. Most of us end our days the same way, lying in bed, scrolling, replaying what went wrong, staring at a to-do list still half unfinished. Our last thoughts before sleep are about the emails left unanswered, the errands pushed to tomorrow, the apology never made. We drift off not with peace, but with the weight of incompletion, and we wake already behind. The Stoics had a different approach. Seneca, in his letters, described a nightly ritual. He practiced himself before bed. He reviewed his day, not as a harsh critic, but as an honest observer. He didn't ask, "How did I fail?" He asked, "Where did I grow? What temptations did I resist? What progress did I make?" That's the essence of the 5th micro-habit, the Daily Done Declaration. Here's how it works. Each night, just before you fall asleep, spend 2 minutes scanning your day, but instead of obsessing over what you didn't finish, highlight what you did accomplish, no matter how small. And here's the twist. You can't choose the obvious. You're hunting for the quiet wins, the almost invisible acts of care and effort that usually go unnoticed. Maybe you checked in on a friend with a quick text. Maybe you chose a nourishing meal instead of fast food. Maybe you gave patience instead of snapping in traffic. Maybe you decluttered one drawer, drank an extra glass of water, or remembered to breathe before reacting. These are not trivial. They are the invisible bricks of your character, Most people turn nightly reflection into a moral report card, a chance to grade themselves harshly. That's not Stoic. True Stoic reflection is not about punishing yourself. It's about clarity. It's about seeing reality as it is, especially the parts of yourself worth building on. Here's why this works. Psychologists call it the momentum of completion. When you acknowledge what you actually followed through on, your brain starts to identify you as someone who shows up, someone reliable, especially reliable to yourself. And that identity, small action, honored daily compounds into deep self-trust. There's also a neurological shift. Your brain has a filter called the reticular activating system. It decides what you notice and what you ignore. When you practice spotting completions, your brain primes itself to notice progress. The next day, you begin to see opportunities for tiny wins everywhere. Where once you saw pressure, now you see possibility, and the effect doesn't stop with you. Once you're used to celebrating your own quiet victories, you start spotting them in others. You compliment effort instead of criticizing results. You point out what someone got right, instead of dwelling on what they missed, and that single shift makes you magnetic because everyone is starving to be seen. After a month of practicing the daily done declaration, you'll notice changes. You fall asleep more peacefully because your mind closes the day with gratitude, not anxiety. You wake lighter because you're not dragging yesterday's unfinished list into today's mood. You feel more motivated because you trust yourself to honor even the smallest steps. This habit trains your nervous system to receive a vital message. You are enough. You do enough. You accomplish enough, not someday. Not when everything's perfect, but right now, as you are. And here's the bigger truth. Real productivity isn't about doing it all. It's about doing something with meaning. And recognizing it, it's about progress, not perfection. So tonight, before you close your eyes, scan your day. Find 3 things you actually did. Quiet wins, subtle shifts, small acts of care. Declare them. Let them count. And as you breathe into sleep, anchor it with this affirmation. I celebrate the progress I make every single day. Say it proudly. Write it down. Post it in the comments if you're ready to honor yourself. Because the person who practices this habit doesn't just become more productive, they become more whole. Your reinvention begins now. Remember, you don't control tomorrow, but you do control the decision you make today. Now step back for a moment and imagine this. You begin your mornings with a clear mind, sweeping away the noise before the world can reach you. You move through the day trained to spot hidden blessings, not just problems. You guard your energy like treasure, refusing to pour yourself into what depletes you. When your inner critic rises, you answer with compassion, not condemnation. And each night, you honor your progress instead of punishing yourself for what's left undone. That's not fantasy. That's what unfolds when these 5 micro habits work together. The morning mind sweep gives you clarity before chaos. Gratitude. Archaeology trains your eyes to see the sacred in the simple. The energy audit moment helps you protect your most precious resource. The compassion reset breath breaks the cycle of self-criticism. The daily done declaration anchors your day in self-trust and momentum. Individually, each habit is powerful. Together, they form a rhythm, a quiet system that transforms you from the inside out. And here's the secret. None of them require radical change. None demand money, travel, or hours of your time. They're small, portable, repeatable. But repetition is the real force of transformation, like drops of water carving stone. These habits slowly but surely reshape the person you are becoming. 6 months from now, someone will look at you and ask, "What changed?" And you'll smile, because you'll know it wasn't one dramatic overhaul. It was 5 small acts, repeated daily, that peeled away what never belonged and revealed who you've been all along. The Stoics never promised an easy life. They promised a strong one, and strength doesn't come from luxury, it comes from discipline, clarity, compassion, and consistency. That's what you're building here. So the question is no longer, can I reinvent myself? The question is, will I choose to begin? Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is the next breath you take. The future version of you is already waiting, steady, unshakable, unrecognizable to the exhausted self you used to be. Start now. Start small. Start today. If these habits resonated with you, take a second to tap that like button. It tells me and the algorithm that this kind of grounded wisdom matters. Share this video with someone you know who's been carrying too much weight. Someone who needs the reminder that transformation doesn't demand perfection, only repetition. And most importantly, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because every week I'll bring you more Stoic insights, practical tools you can use immediately to build a calmer, stronger, more resilient life. Remember this: you are not becoming someone else. You are uncovering the self that has been there all along, waiting patiently beneath everything that tried to bury it. Your reinvention begins now.